Hello friends, welcome back to the channel again. And today the book I'm going to review is Alex Adventure in Numberland, Dispatches from the Wonderful World of Mathematics. So on my channel, of course, I have reviewed very diversified genres of books, like especially in non-fiction. I have reviewed history, popular science, and even biographies and geopolitics books. But this book is quite distinct from them because this book is actually a popular mathematics book, which is a very lesser known genre. But I think this book is recommended for everyone who like mathematics, and even who hate this book, because if you see the appreciation for this book, so here it is clearly written that if there was one book that was going to be compulsory for the nation to read, it would be this one. And I completely agree to this, because this book actually published by Bloomsbury and written by Alex Bellos, who is a Guardian's magazine mathematics blogger. This book talks about everything in a very joyful manner, which will help you to love mathematics. I have given this book 9 out of 10 rating, and let me show you the contents here. That is, as you can see, it starts with the zero, chapter 0, of course, and has total 11 chapter. It mean adding to 0, it's 12. The book starts with a head for numbers, which talks about the history. With this, it starts with a history conception, which makes this book very enjoyable. It has a very numerous types of techniques to memorize, to learn the facts, and even to learn the techniques. The best part of this book is that. So it talks about how Greeks, Chinese, and even Indians were quite ahead from their time in mathematics field. And the second chapter talks about the counter culture. It talks about the downfall of the how revolution came in mathematics with the Archimedes of Cyprus of Greece, and Anaximander he's from Greece. It talks about, the best part of this book is actually it has not undermined the contribution of Indians, which I found missing in almost every book. This book actually totally glorified the Indian ancient Hindu mathematics, which is a very positive point about this. The third chapter talks about Behold, and mainly talks about Greece, and the chapter 3 actually talks about Hindu science, and it mostly talks about, of course, it has little bit about Aryabhatta, but mostly this book is actually on Madhavacharya, and Shankaracharya, who are very less known mathematics. Even Indians don't know about them. Then it talks about life of pi, from where the real mathematics start. It starts with how Greece, first of all, Archimedes of Cyprus discovered the value of pi, but it also talks about Aryabhatta, who also gave a rough approximation of value of pi. Then X factor, it talks about arithmetics and algorithmics things, which is of course a very brainstorming if you calculate them, but it gives you a different technique, small techniques, which would be very the video will be very long if I would tell about this about the techniques. But yeah, definitely a very important chapter. Chapter 6 is playtime. It's mostly about the Chinese, how there were two Chinese mathematicians who, while playing, only gave very distant and different and even very complex types of problems, and solved them by their own while playing. And then chapter 7 talks about secrets of successions, how many mathematical discoveries were actually misused, and how they were named for others rather than the person who himself actually gave the proofs. It talks about gold fingers. It talks about chance in a fine thing. This chapter actually talks about probability, and it starts with how Pierre Simon de Laplace gave probability, which today holds one of the key factor even in quantum mechanics at a very micro level to macro level also. To win a game in gambling or anything, you need probability. Chapter 10 talks about situation normal. Actually, the chapter is situation normal, but it talks about very abnormal things, like it talks about 11 and 12 dimension and even 45 dimension, how it is actually impossible in the real world to have 45 dimensions. But it shows how there are some loopholes in, not only in relativities mathematics, but also in discrete and pure mathematics. There are some loopholes which can give actually rise to 45 dimensions, and even up to 100. So a very well versed and a very amazing book. It also talks about end of the line. It mainly talks about these two chapter talks about the theories which are actually quite impossible, but they hold some truth. So the book looks like this. It has very illustrations, very good illustrations, and it also has some colorful pictures. It also talks about various gram slams and mathematical thinking calculation awards and prizes across the world which can one can discover. And it also talks about Euclidean geometry, a very amazing book in pop mathematics. With anyone who wants to start this new genre should definitely start with this one.